Hey everybody. So on this vlog, this is vlog number 2, I'm going to talk about routing, the software I used, how I learned how to do it, and basically if you want to plan a route using a Garmin GPS, how you can do it too. It's not too terribly hard. It's a little daunting at first, as I found out, but I watched some YouTube videos like this one to learn how to do it, and I'll pass on what I know. So first, you need your Garmin GPS. You can't see it, but it's plugged into the computer, and Garmin Basecamp uses the GPS itself to load the maps. And it's cool and all, but the only problem is that it's really slow. Load times are really slow. So I like to have Google Maps up next to it, just so I can sort of get an idea of where I want to go, where to put the points down on the map. So just to start, here is the route I have planned. Let me zoom out here. Here's the route we have planned. Let me get some details on it. So total 4,739 miles, 4,739 miles. It's not exact. It does the best it can, but a plan is only as good as the plan. So I assume we're gonna make detours. We're gonna stop places. The times are there just to sort of get an idea how long things are gonna take. um, that kind of thing. So just a really idea. I use this to make sure we're gonna be at the place we're gonna sleep at night. And the time in between is really just a suggestion, just sort of an estimate, that kind of thing. Um, so let's start. So how I began is I knew the start address and I knew the end. So you can go in here and let's start a new one. So we'll create a new list folder. I like to do that. Let me pull it out there. And so let me rename it to vlog number 2 just to sort of show you. So what we're going to do is you take your waypoint, and I'm just going to do a sample thing. It's going to want you to create a new list. So I'm just going to call it vlog number 2, just like the folder, just for example sake. So we're going to start in Rocky River because that's where it says, and then we're going to go to Avon. Let's just say we're going to go to Avon. Now we have our 2 points. We get our waypoint navigator, our route, and we put in Rocky River as our start, and Avon as that. And then it's going to calculate. It takes a second to calculate, and it tells you how long it's going to be, the time traveled, and how to get there. Now the trick is on our trip we didn't want to take major highways, so I'd have to place it to sort of convince it, if you will, to to go where we wanted it to go. So that's it. So that's pretty much the basis of planning a trip. So now let's go back into this one. But before I do that, if you can see here, it creates the route for you. So now that you have the start and the end point, this is how I started. I started with the start point in Elyria and end point in Thousand Oaks, and I would go make my waypoints, and I just drop them in between there. It asks you to put it, you insert waypoint, and then it calculates it out. Something to note is that it's real sensitive to the side of the road you put the waypoint on. So if you're putting the waypoint on the wrong side of the road, it's gonna try to say do a U-turn, and you'll find that on the bike. I found that out the hard way. I did a test of my normal motorcycle loop just to sort of get a feel from how it looks on the GPS unit from the map. And yeah, it's really sensitive to that. But if you do end up in that sort of situation, there is a button on the display of the GPS to say to skip waypoint, and then it'll just go to the next one and you can continue. But, for the sake of it being convenient, just sort of be aware of what side of the road you're putting something on. So now that we got that out of the way, so yeah, basic waypoints and directions. So let's go to this one. You can see on the left here, just how many waypoints I ended up with. Takes a long time to process. This took me about 40 hours, I would say, of just hammering it out, figuring out where we wanted to go, figuring out how long it would take to go places. But I think it's well worth it. I'm really a type A traveler. I like to know where I'm going to be, where I'm going to sleep. But the thing is this allows you to not necessarily plan a trip out where I got to be here at, you know, 3:42 p.m. or else I'm going to miss everything. No, I just wanted to make sure that we could get to the campsites, we could get to the hotels at the right time at night. We're not driving to 1 o'clock in the morning. We're not doing 800-mile days, that kind of stuff. Our sort of upper limit is 600 miles per day, and I think that's sort of a good limit. 600 miles is a long time on a bike, and that's close to three stops. Uh, in a day, and that's actually a lot. In a car, you could do however long you can sit there, but on a bike, it demands so much of your attention that the energy input is just kind of ridiculous. Not that it's not possible. There's the Iron Butt Challenge, which is 1,000 miles in a day, and you get, an award that you can award yourself with. But we're not about that life. This is a vacation, not a marathon here. So we're gonna be starting in Illyria. Let's just get right into it. If you want to sit through this, please do. That was sort of the quick and dirty tutorial of this. I'm sure we'll see some other stuff, but let's just get right into the route. So we're going to stop. We're going to start in my dad's house in Elyria. My bike will be waiting for me. I'm actually flying to Cleveland a week earlier than the trip just to see some friends, see some family. If you're watching this before I've gotten my COVID vaccine, I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, that I'm able to get it before I leave. But, I'm just really hoping. And if not, it is what it is. I'll wear a mask. So we leave. Basically, what we determined is that there is really nothing of too great of interest for everyone that lives between Cleveland and Badlands National Park. No, you know, no malice here, but there's not much to see, uh, nature-wise. And I'm sure there is, but there's no real huge landmarks. The one we did see is we're gonna leave Friday night and stop in Indiana Dunes National Park. Um, we're gonna stay there overnight, get a good jump on the next day because this is sort of the longest stretch of the trip. We're doing the really long rides right in the beginning, getting it out of the way, and then we can spend the time on the west portion of the United States. So we're gonna do a quick loop on Indiana Dunes National Park. These dates are just representative; they're not the actual dates. So for privacy concerns, these are just sample dates, just to sort of get an idea of how long it'll take. So don't take them too seriously. So we're gonna do a quick loop. I mean, I've seen Lake Michigan a million times. Just sort of to get the stamp and say we went to another national park. Fun little fact about Indiana Dunes: it is the newest national park in the country. Um, Founded in 2019. It was a state park up to that, and you can see even the map is a little outdated here. But yeah, it's a little fun little fact. And you can see like it's taking a second for the software to load in. So that's why I have Google Maps over here. And let me actually expand this since we won't use it so much, but just representative of when you're actually planning how you might want to have Google Maps open just to sort of get the route. So the real plan is to get out of here as fast as possible. So we're taking the turnpike as far as we can really until we want to start seeing some small towns and all that stuff. Um, so to sort of get out of there, we come up here and then we take the 30 west. Long day, and then we come up and let's let this load and until that. So as we can see, so we're going to be spending here, and then our next, I sort of estimated we're really because there's no way to do this leg in one day. We're gonna have to stop somewhere. So I just estimated where we're gonna stop, 631 miles, a little bit over, but I plan to probably stop before then, or when we get tired, or if we feel good. It has us arriving at 4, which is still pretty early, but we've been riding since 6, so um, you never really know. what can happen. So just building time in. And like I said, this is a vacation, so not really going to stress myself out about riding too far. So then we'll stop there in the morning. We'll take a little scenic detour to Lewis and Clark Lake. This is sort of the path Lewis and Clark followed. So that's kind of cool to see, an historic sort of path there. These are all two-lane highways where possible, no interstates. And then we come up here, drop to the 40, um, Bone Steel City. Something you notice was like you can select a city in there, but if you can get close, you can sort of see right there how it juts off there. It's gonna want you to turn there and come off. So just something to note. I mean, it's kind of annoying in that sense, but it's more descriptive than putting it right on the highway when you're coming up. So just something to be aware of. We're coming down. So the next day we'll be coming up and we are going to cut north and then cut west again and then land in our first major national park. Not that Indiana Dunes is not a major national park. I'm sure it's very beautiful, but we sort of just we haven't seen stuff like this before, kind of know what Lake Michigan and all that stuff looks like. I go to Michigan for work, so that kind of stuff. We've never been to Badlands, so we will arrive at the visitor center around 9:46 a.m. if we leave at 5 in the morning. So 288 miles, about 5 hours. Quite a haul, but we'll stop at the visitor center, take a breather, and then we'll head off and see the park for the day. I have the Cedar Pass, excuse me, campground booked, but that is the backup because if you look up here, I got all the lookouts marked in here. That's all manual. But after here, it becomes a dirt road, and there is a campground over here that is first come, first serve. So from there, I have layovers built in just to the time. Have us 3:30. It's first come, first serve. So if there's not a spot there, I have that other one booked as a backup, so we can, come back if necessary. I hope not. Really hate to backtrack, but I'm not too experienced with this kind of travel, so I like to know where I'm gonna sleep and not be asked to move. I don't have to have to hide behind a tree if I don't have to. That being said, uh, for these lookout points, I use Google Maps, and there is so if you go to find points of interest, it will find a point of interest sort of in the area. That was pretty good. I noticed to mark your location. Um, Google Maps was a little bit better. So, just sort of you can zoom in and match the exact point on Google Maps to where you want it, and then just place your marker and name it. And um, I'm really looking forward to this Roberts Prairie Dogtown, just as a little aside. But yeah, this is all unpaved road, not too crazy. My dad's not quite on a dual sport bike, but it's just unpaved. I wouldn't call it super off road, so we think it's doable, and that's kind of the only trek we have off road. So we head up to 44 next. This Creston Dinosaur is sort of like a little side attraction. It's just I think a plaster dinosaur on the side of the road. So the next leg, we will go from Sage Creek to Deadwood. Deadwood is a famous sort of old west town next to Sturgis. We are not on Harley Davidson motorcycles, so not that sort of tourist attraction probably isn't going to be the most popular for us, but we got to see it. We're there, and as you can see, I've got quite the route planned for us on this stretch. Um, Very twisty turny. We could have dropped down the 385, but this road looks so much more fun. And then could have hopped up here, which would have been way shorter. But the point of this trip is not the shortest route, but the most fun route on two wheels. So we're gonna drop up here and then come back up, and then from Deadwood we're going to go to the Alpine Motel because our next stop, as you'll see, is Yellowstone. So that's going to be, a 500-mile trek, 8 hours and 46 minutes. Ooh, sorry, I apologize. We are going to the Devil's Tower next. It's right there. It looks cool. We'll stop there, uh, maybe have a little early lunch, relax, and then we're heading out to the Alpine Motel. So the Alpine Motel is actually located in Montana, which I think is pretty cool. Just sort of a state we weren't expecting to stop in, but look at that. There's a little dip into Montana, and that's actually really cool because right down the road is the Yellowstone Northeast entrance. Probably would for distance made more sense to come down here, but this is an adventure. It's a trip. We want to see stuff we normally wouldn't see, and if I was coming from California where I live, I'm coming from down here, so I don't know of another chance I'm going to get to come this way. So we decided to come up here. We're going to stay in the city here, Cook City, I think it is. Yep, Cook City. And then in the morning, I have us departing at 10 a.m. because we're getting there kind of late. It seemed like a cool little town. Again, totally up in the air. I wanted to give us enough time. It's really important. Time is your greatest currency on this trip and the biggest restraint. This is a 2 week trip for us. So, we got to see the most we can in 2 weeks. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, really, it's not enough time. I could spend a month out on the road and still probably wouldn't be enough. But fit it in, and we do what we can. So we enter the northeast entrance. I do recommend if you are going on a trip like this to get a yearly pass. Now, if you're over 65, like I'm not going to say any names here, but if you're over 65, for the same price as a yearly pass, for me, you can get a lifetime national park pass. And especially on this for $90, I think it is, it's such a great deal because it's $20 to $30 per vehicle to get in. And we have 12 national parks planned, and it just for economic sense, it just it's a fabulous deal to get that, and what a great way to support the parks, even if you don't use it to its full extent. I mean, these parks are one of our greatest national treasures that need protecting, that need funding, greater than their government funding. So spend the money. It's definitely a good cause. We're very lucky in the United States to be able to have these parks at our disposal. So yeah, get a pass. So we enter the northeast entrance, and then we drop down, do a nice drive, um, and we start the Grand Loop Road. This is sort of our main route. This I know there's a lot of untraveled section in here, and that was a compromise, unfortunately. With 2 weeks, had to make some compromises. Really sad about this, but gives us a reason to go back. We still are staying 3 days in the park, and it is still a pretty full day, but we just wanted to see as much as we can. We spend the day coming up, and we're gonna stay in Mammoth Hot Springs the first night. There's a Fort Yellowstone here, cool little city. We'll check that out. We'll check out the hot springs. This Upper Terrace Drive contains a lot of the hot springs you think about. A lot of volcanic activity, a lot of underground springs and all that stuff. So we'll spend some time on there. And then day two. So this is pretty much day one. Getting here, coming in the area, hanging out at hot springs, checking out some history, the museums. I'm a big museum guy, kind of a nerd like that. And that's just me. That's just us. So it'll be fun. And then day two, we're gonna spend going south. Stopping where I marked a couple things optional. I'm sure I'm sure if there are actual anybody watching this, they're gonna say, no, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. I love the ideas. I'm sure this is gonna change. Just stop offs I saw on Google Maps and I put them in. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've never been here. I can only go on what the internet says. So I'm just going on what I can guess. I'm sure it's gonna change. We're gonna get books and maps and yada 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 while we're on the way. Well, plenty of time to discuss this. So this Firehole Canyon Road actually looks kind of cool. The thing about this software and I gotta say, is it does not do the greatest job of putting smaller roads on there. You actually really have to zoom in and wait for it to load in and all that stuff. Google Maps is your friend. You unfortunately cannot export from Google Maps into this. There's probably a way. I don't know it. I didn't put the time in to learn it. Um, but it's probably there. Like there's a turnoff here. I'm not quite sure what's there, but we'll stop when we want to. Um, just some couple springs, Grand Prismatic Swing. That actually looked kind of cool. So we'll stop and we'll check that out. Do the trail. And there's a trail here and that kind of stuff. And then the end of day 2 in Yellowstone is the Old Faithful. We're staying at the Old Faithful Inn. So from Mammoth Hot Springs Lodge to Old Faithful Inn. I mean, it's only a 2-hour drive, but this is all day here. Um, Planning to get there around dinner, so we'll have dinner, hang out, and then leave in the morning um, to Old Faithful. Sort of 4 hours. Have planned just hanging out, watching water squirt in the air if we can, and then heading out because our third stop, our third night, is at let me find it. The Lake Lodge. Again, hour drive, but you can spend all day looking at this stuff. So that's what we're gonna do. And then in the morning we will leave and see the rapids, and then get out of Dodge to head to Grand Teton. Um, Funny enough, I've been there before. Very beautiful. I wasn't really old enough to appreciate it, unfortunately. I would have appreciated so much more if I was older, but you do what you can. If you go back and tell your younger self what you know now, you'd be way better off, but you wouldn't learn the lessons and all that stuff. So I'm going to see it again. I'm going to have a whole new appreciation. This inner park drive, see, um, is really what you want to be on. 191, I'm sure, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful road, but this is really where you want to be. Gonna stop in Teton Village just to say, hey, what's up? Maybe 10:30, maybe have some breakfast, early lunch, just sort of depending on how long it takes. As you see, I built in an hour. Um, while we're going, let me actually talk about these layovers. If you click on a spot, you can see arrival and departure. I thought, okay, I'll click arrival and departure and all that. Well, excuse me. Well, really, you don't want to do that because um, if you need to change anything, it'll really mess up the software on your arrival and leaving time. So just completely uncheck arrival and only check departure on when you want to leave. So like if I was staying overnight, I'd select the next day at when I wanted to leave. Or if I'm planning, like it'll take a half an hour to view that. Um, you just select 30 minutes and then it'll figure it out for you. You really don't have to get too specific. It'll figure it out for you. Again, it's only a guideline. Um, you want to build in too much time, quite frankly, than not enough. Because I don't want to say, oh, I got to get to the next campsite, um, by this time. Because look, we're getting there by 6, and that's plenty of time. But you want to make sure that you're not traveling in the middle of the night for us specifically, because you can't see anything, and that's the whole point is to see stuff. The riding's fun, but it's all about where you are. So we drop down on this cool little road. Again, it would have been quicker to do the 191, but look at all this water feature in this park, and look at all the cool stuff, these turns. So I think it'll be worth it to do it. Then so the original plan was to stay in Dinosaur, but as you can see, this is why it's important to know, because I was planning to stay in Dinosaur National Monument, then hang around there. But if we're getting there at 6 and then leaving in the morning, what are you gonna see? You're not really gonna see that much. You're gonna miss the hours of the visitor center. You're gonna do all kind. You're gonna, you're not really gonna experience it to its fullest. And I mean, it's really hard to experience to its fullest. Look at just the little ways we're going in. I mean, there's so much more, but you got to pick and choose, unfortunately. So we're gonna go in. Maybe we'll get enough time. Maybe by the time we're heading out, the visitor center will be open. I hope so. I really enjoy visitor centers, but you never know. So we'll see when we can get up. These KOAs look very nice. I've never been to one. Campgrounds of America, I believe. If you know about them, let me know. So we're headed out to Dinosaur, um, and then we're Dinosaur, Colorado, and then we're in Colorado. Our next leg is to Mesa Verde National Park. We're actually booked in the only resort in Mesa Verde, so that's pretty cool because they have the cliff dwellings, the Native American cliff dwellings that I am so incredibly excited to see. And once we get down their map, let me explain a little more. So we're coming down. This took a little bit of finagling, as you can see. Um, I don't want to go through the 70. I want to go through, I want to go through the countryside a little bit. Grand Junction, I'm sure, is beautiful and cool, but look at that. Go up to the Colorado National Monument and then drop down. Look at this. Look at this route. I mean, I could again. Look, take the 550 to 62, but look at this. Like, how could you miss that? You can see, you gotta plug in your cities there just to sort of convince it to take you here. But it looks cool. Um, then come over to Mesa Verde National Park. Now the Farview Lodge. I don't have waypoints in here on purpose. I don't have them because the Farview Lodge offers a tour, a 4-hour tour by bus of some of the cliff dwellings. I looked it up. Some of the cliff dwellings are actually closed right now. Unfortunately, they're not self-guided. You got to go up with somebody because they really want to preserve those monuments, and I honestly really agree with that. So this will give us some explanation, a guide to explain, that kind of stuff. So we're gonna take a tour and leave by 1. It's till noon. That might be a little tight. I don't know. Have some lunch and then leave, but I think it'll be enough. And then so then from there we leave to these two beautiful Utah national parks, Arches and Canyonlands. So the idea, this might change. Just sort of seeing, if we can make some good time or not. Um, to first drop our stuff off at Drinks Canyon Campground. These are, again, first come, first serve, kind of sucky. I'm sure those who travel say it's no problem. There's actually a ton of campgrounds up here. They say, oh, there'll be plenty of room, but all the official campgrounds were booked, so we'll see. Maybe we got to stop at a motel or whatever. But the ideal plan is to drop our stuff off and then head to Canyonlands while um, while we see a sunset. So just drive to Island in the Sky and back, say we've been there. Again, this was a compromise. Islands in the Sky here is beautiful. We'll get the idea of what we want to see of there, and then we'll head back to the campground at night and leave in the morning. Island in the Sky, from there we'll go to the campground, like I said, and then we'll head out through Arches. We'll go to the visitor center, see what there is to see here. It's kind of cool. We can drive through it. Um, and yeah, head out there. Unfortunately, it just makes the most sense to head out to the interstate at that time. There's no real path that I found from here to there because from there we're going to Grand Bryce Canyon. So from Drinks Canyon to where are we gonna stay? The Bryce Canyon Pines Motel. Um, so this is actually our one trip for the day from there through canyons, and then we're gonna stop at the motel and then head out from the Bryce Canyons to Rainbow Point. Only an hour drive, but plenty to see. And then we leave from there to the Zion Canyon Campground, 2-hour drive. We're actually gonna spend 2 days in Zion. A rest day, if you will. Been a lot of riding so far, a lot of stuff to see. So we'll get to just relax, not have to be on the bike, not have to be anywhere. It seems nestled in. Seems like a really good campground. We'll be on the river, which is pretty cool. And then so yeah, so we'll spend that time in Zion, which is really cool. And the second day, try to do the narrows. If you have any suggestions about the narrows, please let me know. I've seen waterproof wader rentals, which I think might be a good idea. I don't really want to get wet, but maybe in May it's not a good time to do the narrows. So I got to do some more research. There's definitely some more, but if you have an idea, just let me know if you are still watching. So then from there, from Zion, we will go a long trip. I really wanted to avoid Las Vegas. Now, pre-COVID and post-COVID, I would totally stop in Las Vegas. I'm ready to get out and have a Las Vegas night. Do the buffets. Put a little lose a little money on a slot machine. But alas, I do not want to be around people at this time. So we are completely missing Las Vegas as much as possible. Look how pretty that looks, rather than the 15. But that's really cool because from there we are going to the ranch at Death Valley, and we will be sleeping there and spending the time in Death Valley. It's gonna be really hot, so hopefully to avoid some of that heat, we're not gonna stop too much. Artist Drive, I've actually been here before. Artist Drive is a must see. So if you're gonna be doing that, you gotta spend there. Really pretty rocks, and actually the plan is to see the sunset at night from Dante's View. I've been up there. Beautiful, beautiful overlook of the Badlands. Must see if you can. Got a little stop at the Stovepipe Wells Village. Cool little village below sea level. So if you can do that, I definitely recommend it. Heading up northwest outside of Death Valley to Yosemite. Um, got a campsite booked in Curry Village, and then our last night is in the Sequoia Kings Canyon area. I haven't booked it yet. The campgrounds have not opened for that yet, so um, the campgrounds have not opened for that yet. So when that does, I will book it. I think you can do it 3 months in advance. Indeed, so you got to do that. And then down here, I didn't find a real good way to one another. I gotta look. I mean, these are all cities, right? So they have roads, but I gotta sort of just figure it out. But right now, that seems like actually, I don't know. I gotta take a look at it more. This was what it routed me. Maybe I could use a little fine tuning, but we'll see. Um, Come down here to the Groves, and then yeah, that's our last night on the trip. I mean, it's only a 3.5 hour drive from um, Roaring River Trailhead to. Yes, never mind. An 8 hour drive, but that's we'll be sleeping, and then we'll do it during the day, and then we drop down and make it to Thousand Oaks. So that's our big adventure, and all planned out in Garmin Basecamp. And then when you're done, you just take your route and you drop it on the internal storage of your GPS, and you're good to go. Once you boot up your GPS, it'll ask you to upload it, and you got your route. Look at that. 2 weeks of 2 weeks of road trip planned right there. Let me know if you have any comments, suggestions, if you're psyched, if what you want to see, what kind of content you want. Maybe I'll talk about each national park as we get there. Maybe I'll film a little something. Yeah, if you got any suggestions, please let me know. Thanks so much for tuning in this long. This was a really long vlog. But it all goes into planning a road trip. I mean, yeah, you could just wing it, but who knows what you're gonna miss? Who knows if you can really find a place to legally camp? Don't want to do it in a Walmart parking lot. Don't want to do it on the side of the road and get a ticket. Really want a really good experience doing this with a little stress as possible because it is a vacation after all, and I don't want to be stressed out. That's not my way of living. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. Stick around for vlog 3 where we're going to talk about, supplies I need. I'm going to guess I'm going to need that kind of stuff, camping stuff, and maybe we'll get a word from my partner, Rick there. But we'll see. All right. Well, have a good day. Um, and I will see you later.